Hello and welcome back to the channel. More Warner Weekend Roundup. This time we have an Ezra Miller story to cover, and we're going to talk about how Ezra Miller has crawled back to Warner Brothers execs, basically pleading for his job. And, good for him, good for them. Without further ado, let's get into the story. Ezra Miller has held secret meetings with Warner executives keen to save the $250 million superhero movie, The Flash, and he has vowed that he'll clean up his act. Now, how do I really feel about this? There's part of me that questions, again, whether or not this is real. We know that Ezra Miller was presented with three options, and that was basically that he either apologizes and seeks help, and he could possibly be a part of a limited tour for The Flash, or he changes nothing and he gets nothing going forward. He would not be the Flash going forward, and that would be the end of that. Or he keeps acting like a total asshole and a total jackass, and they would cancel the movie altogether, because that's the point they were at. Like, after this announcement about the felony charges against him, I think that was the straw that broke the camel's back for Warner Brothers. And they basically presented him with three options, and he chose the first option. I'm going to get help, and I'm going to try and stay on the straight and narrow. I'm going to try to stop acting like a total jackass, and I'm hoping to save my job, my future career, and this movie. So Ezra Miller, just the highlights here, held a damage control meeting with Warner Brothers execs to discuss how to stay on course ahead of the $250 million Flash release in the summer of 2023. The meeting on Warner's lot comes after a string of bizarre incidents and two arrests. Miller met with Michael Luca and Pam Abdy, who took over running the film division at the beginning of July. Of course, a recent mea culpa, which I just talked about, from Miller came after the actors' team got word the pair were considering scrapping The Flash entirely, despite it being filmed already. That's how bad things were. They basically got to the point where they had no faith in Ezra Miller, and they were ready to take the hit. They were ready to just dust their hands, and walk away from it. That is pretty bad. That is a bad situation, especially when you have something like $250 million invested. This guy has effed up deeply. Now, I don't know exactly how it is that he's managed to get this far into the proverbial shit without seemingly have any of it stick to him. Now, I know what kind of shield he's been using, and he's been using his identity politics shield and his pronoun shield to try and, basically deflect anything that comes at his way. So when he does something inappropriate, the first thing he does is yell at people that they are racists or phobes of some kind. And this is just a pretty typical MO for people who, in my opinion, are mentally ill or have some sort of serious issues. Because, simply disagreeing with someone or asking them not to smoke in your apartment is not any kind of ists or phobia. Maybe it could be a fear of fire, but it's not a phobia like, a kind of phobia against any particular group or any particular individual. So as we can see here, Ezra Miller, the troubled star of Warner Brothers' major upcoming superhero movie, The Flash, has held crisis talks with bosses at the film studio who were considering scrapping the $250 million project entirely, until he came back groveling, begging, and promising to seek help and be good. The aim of the conversation appears to have been how best to keep Miller on track ahead of The Flash's June 2023 release. Yeah, I think that's an important thing to discuss here. That's next summer. So we've got probably 9 months before we get there. And that's a long damn time in Ezra Miller's world, because this guy can't seem to go, 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Without just effing something up and making some sort of crazy decision that gets him plastered all over the news. Now, he did fly under the radar for pretty much all of July, and that is because I think he was in some sort of rehab. I've talked about this before. He disappeared in July, and it does seem like when he went off-grid, he seriously went off-grid. Now, that could be explained by going into rehab, and it could be explained by basically having his phone and all of that taken away from him and him actually checking himself into getting some help. Now, it also could have been actually, a psychiatric hospital, as is now also theorized. And again, I think they would have taken all of that stuff away from him and just to let him focus on his mental health. And let's be honest, social media is probably not good for most people's mental health. So I think that's a good thing if that was the case. Now, Miller has been the subject of a number of instances over the last 2 years, which have led bosses to consider the idea of scrubbing the movie altogether, much like fellow canceled superhero film Batgirl. And that really truly would have been something if it came down to that. The thought of a $250 million movie being scrapped is said to have jolted him into vowing to clean up his act. I'm sure that Ezra Miller had a moment there. And yeah, I think he saw how serious Warner Brothers was, that they were even mentioning that, hey, we may just cancel the film altogether and cancel your contract. No more films, no more Flash, no more movies at Warner Brothers ever for you. You will be blacklisted from this studio entirely. And when that happens, people don't understand that it doesn't mean that you just get blacklisted from Warner Brothers Discovery. It means you pretty much get blacklisted from Hollywood. You will no longer be sought by anyone from any studio to participate in any movie. Earlier this year, he was charged with disorderly conduct and harassment at a karaoke bar, and he had 2 arrests in Hawaii. The second one was for second-degree assault. He had the parents of an 18-year-old take out a restraining order against him. All of that together, and further allegations of him choking a woman in an Icelandic bar, which did not result in charges but probably should have, raised questions in Hollywood over the future of The Flash and Miller's career more broadly. But basically, just acting like a nut. And then, of course, we have Miller's apology. Having recently gone through a time of intense crisis, I now understand that I am suffering complex mental health issues. Yes, you are, buddy. We've all been saying that. I'm committed to doing the necessary work to get back to a healthy, safe, and productive stage of my life. I think the emphasis here is on productivity. He knows that if he doesn't do this, well, he's not going to be productive in Hollywood anymore because nobody will ever hire him again. Well, let's face it, it's Hollywood and it's his movie career that has enabled this crazy lifestyle for him. And he rather likes his jet-setting lifestyle, so he probably doesn't want to give up his Hollywood career. And I think it's good that he actually had to go and apologize to his bosses, which he should have done a long time ago. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments below. In the meantime, if you want to continue to smash the narrative, then smash the like, subscribe, and share buttons, and I'll see you in the next video. Have a great day.